All right, no cute intro today. Let's just get right into the music. We have Tower of Silence with Semelean Revelations, and once more, 30 seconds per group. So let's go. Okay, that definitely catches my attention. Good first start group for today. We got some French black metal, looks like, and keeping with kind of the tradition of that region, I would say, with the kind of more like experimental side of things. They mentioned some progressiveness in there, and I'm definitely hearing that. I love the organ, kind of reminds me of Cult of Fire a little bit. Great atmosphere. Production is stunning. So yeah, this is definitely starting off strong with something that I would like to hear more from. But again, if you're new here, this is just me showing you some stuff and hoping that you will go check it out for yourself. All the links will be down in the description as always. But moving on, we have Order of Nosferat with Towards the Nightrealm of Orlok. All right, let that play a little bit longer because it took me a minute to get to the vocals. Interesting how much, unless I just happened to keep skipping over the vocal parts, took a minute to get to that, which is fine though. I mean, a little bit of a build there, a little bit more raw, kind of traditional black metal on this side. These guys are from Germany. I believe this released on the same day or at least the same week as Nosferatu came out, which, by the way, if you like gothic horror and you love Robert Eggers' other movies like The Witch and The Northman, The Lighthouse, my personal favorite, you should definitely check that movie out. It is stellar. Very, very, especially if you can see it in the theaters. Really fun experience. So yeah, this is clearly conceptually centered around that same concept. And yeah, as far as just that style of black metal, sounds really solid. A little bit dime a dozen, but I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So nothing wrong with that. Next up, we have Choir with Smithe, the Smoldering Providence. Okay, that sounds pretty sick. We got some dissonant death metal out of Portland, my own Portland, Oregon, although that may just be the label, because that's Total Dissonance Worship, not positive on the band in terms of where they're from. I'm not seeing it necessarily in the description here, but oh, and appropriate too, because I was thinking of bands like Abyssal and also Primitive Man, which is in the description. Alterage seems like a good comparison point too. Again, those very dissonant, slightly more kind of experimental, definitely somewhat doomy death metal projects, but the kind of death doom that I really enjoy, where it's a little bit more dissonant, chaotic, angry, what have you, and has some pace changes. So yeah, digging that. Another one that I'd like to investigate further. By the way, I've been up since 6 a.m. today, so if I seem a little lower energy, that's kind of a conscious decision, going for more of a chill vibe today. You can let me know down in the comments what you think about that. Do you like the higher energy me in these, or do you are you fine with this, or do you even like this more? You just let me know. It's January, good time to experiment with different vibes. But let's move on to Cabadano with Mellor Matarse. I believe I got that pretty close. Okay, some kind of like melodic death metal vibes, I would say. This band's out of Santiago de Compostela, Spain. What we got in the tags? Melodic metal. You maybe make an argument for like groove metal vibes in there as well. Digging the music, digging the riffs. The vocals are a little, I use this word, they're like kind of squelchy. If anyone out there knows what I'm talking about, they're a little overly squelchy. They need a little like, how do I describe this? It's like your throat is so constricted that all I can kind of hear is like the just demand of the air to get through, and it needs more body. It needs a little bit more depth to it. I don't know how else to explain it besides that. So if you're looking for a critique, that's something I might work on a little bit. Production be tightened up, but I'm liking the like more atmospheric elements. Sounds like you got some like synth stuff going on there too. So there's a foundation of something cool here. So keep it up. Next up, we've got Ashlands with Ashlands III. I think we've maybe covered all of their stuff. I forget. We've definitely covered them before. Yeah, some more atmospheric, or they also put it as epic black metal out of Italy. I like this picture too, by the way. Yeah, solid stuff. Looks like we've just got 3 songs here. Seems like one is, I believe that's like an acoustic intro, and then we've got this almost 10-minute song we're listening to, and then we've got a 12.5-minute one as well. But everything I've heard from them has been really solid, tightly written. I'm always hit and miss with atmospheric black metal. Sometimes it gets really boring for me and repetitive, but Ashlands tends to be one where they take a more kind of progressive route to the songwriting, and I was already hearing some of that in here as well. So always check out Ashlands if you like what you hear from this one, then backtrack to some of their other stuff as well. We've got The Sun Through a Telescope with Warm Gray Day. So we got some Doom, and they also throw in Drone out of Ottawa, Ontario. And, for a guy who's not a big fan of just Doom in general, I was kind of digging that. Now, take this as a compliment. I know maybe a Doom band wouldn't take this as a compliment, but I assure you, I think it's part of what I enjoyed about this is the guitars reminded me of Deftones a little bit. It's like if Deftones went Doom. And honestly, there are some songs on those Deftones albums where it's a little bit like that. Those slower paced, kind of chill, just sort of lay back and watch the world drift by kind of songs. And yeah, I was getting a lot of that in here alongside the more kind of traditional Doom elements, and it was kind of nice, kind of warm, kind of hypnotic. I like it. I like that. I'm color me interested. So good job. One of those Doom projects that actually did something interesting that caught my attention. Moving on, we have Miasma with demo. Oh God, me and my Roman numerals that I screw up sometimes. So what is this? 2024, I guess. I believe that's the demo 2024. Did this come out in 2024? Well, it came out in 2025, but that's a 4. Here, let me... This is inside. I always second guess myself, because every time I say it in video, I always get corrected in the comments. I feel like I know my Roman numerals well enough, but I get it wrong. No, yeah, that's 2024. I was right. It's just weird to me because it technically came out in 2025. But I guess you recorded it in 2024? Different ways of looking at this. Anyways, let's check out the music. My babbling. Alright, so these guys are out of Indonesia. Lots of interesting and often raw stuff coming out of Indonesia. They describe themselves as metal of doom, but getting much more, again, black metal. It's been kind of a black metal heavy day. Much more of a black metal vibe for me overall, even right down to the album art. And it's solid. It's solid, again, for what it is. I mean, I think it works fine alongside stuff like Order of Nosferat. They would if you were playing live together, it would be a good match. And so again, I always have so little to say about this style of music because it's just like it's the same stuff, but it's executed well. And I think you're, again, the phrase I always say is you're hitting the target that you're going for, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, there you go. Mirror with Harvest, the EP. Alright, some French death, I'd say death doom again in this case. Those are some gnarly vocals. And I'm like on the fence about them because at first I was like chuckling at them a little bit, but then at the same time I was like, hell man, how many death metal bands sound so similar? And I do like a good vocal that kind of stands out and sounds a little bit different. This also takes me back to definitely the more kind of like late 80s, very early 90s death metal formative years kind of style. So props for that. And they've got a lot of stuff in the tag, so there may even be some stuff that we get into over the course of these 4 tracks, as I see grindcore in the mix, glitch. There's death doom, breakcore, industrial metal, and so I don't know. Maybe there's more than meets the eye, but yeah, as far as the track we were listening to, very very death to me, and I think well executed for that. Next up, we got ROTGOD with Polemics and Obscenity Part 1, another EP. yeah, that's fun. And another good example of never judge a book by its cover, because man, that's some horrendously ugly cover art. But the music's great. I mean, this is the first one that like really got me bobbing my head today. Out of Italy, call themselves Death Thrashcore. Looks like it might be another one-man project. Those are some huge spikes on that bracer there, like that. Yeah, I mean, fun pacing, good energy. I like the rawness of it. Again, more kind of like 80s sort of vibes. But yeah, this album art, whether intentional or not, it reminds me of what's that weird show with the weird, it was on Adult Swim, and he's like part animal, and it's like religious themes, and he speaks in weird like poetry almost. I can picture him in my head, but someone in the comments will say it. I can't think of the name right now. But anyways, yeah, I enjoyed that. I'd be interested in definitely hearing more from ROTGOD. Where were we? Okay, next up, another demo 2025 for Gutterfrost. And yeah, see, this is where the argument is, because this was released early, like very early in January, probably was recorded 2024, but hey, what do I know? What do I know about naming conventions? Gutterfrost, demo 2025. Okay, a little interesting. So this project out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we got chain punk, crust punk, D-beat punk, doom metal, sludge, all in the tags here. Get a lot of post-punk energy in there too, which I'm hearing more and more as kind of like, there's all these waves of sort of like trends that, as far as like incorporating some sort of non-metal genre into the metal zeitgeist, and I feel like the most popular one right now is kind of like post-punk, and so digging that. It's because it's got this kind of like, just, I don't know, it's got this nihilistic vibe to it that fits so well, and with the kind of gruntier vocals, it takes on sort of a whole new vibe to it. So yeah, not my favorite thing that I've listened to today, but keep going with this. I'm interested. I think there's room to improve in some ways and kind of mature this, but I can't even exactly put my finger on, because everything I'm thinking of, like even the production, like, well, if you made it too flashy, then it would kind of lose some of that essence. So I don't know. I'm interested, and I like these post-punk fusions. Let's go with Monotone Murk. That's a great name. With Withering of Reality's Presence. By the way, I love the whole design of your Bandcamp page here. This is how it's done, with just the whole shebang. It is very aesthetically pleasing. Anyways. So another ambient project. We've covered a few of these in this series, which, by the way, there's a playlist of all these. If you wait till the end, I always link it. But yeah, not my favorite genre, but as far as like, they're out of Spain, by the way. As far as just crafting this kind of like eerie vibe that they're going for, yeah. I mean, put this on in like a Silent Hill game, and it's perfect. It would be a perfect match, and it's definitely creepy. I often describe a lot of ambient music as something I would put on while I'm like doing work, but I don't think this one, like, it would be a little bit too like spoopy for that particular style. But again, I love how you're kind of fusing that sound with all this imagery and stuff you've got on the page here and the album art. very cool. You more like ambient people in the know. I'd be interested to hear you share down in the comments what you think about this, especially if you go listen to more of it. But next up, we have Shovelhead A.D. for something on the completely different end of the spectrum with Timeless Old.
So cold, rose full mold grows on your toe. Pulls the blood from under no roads on bones. I lost my mind. Can't see, can't feel without a wow.
There's some fun and like thrash and groove metal. Was starting to get a little bit of Machine Head vibes there, but better, I would say, because the vocals aren't as yarly, at least the part that I listened to there. I will again go on record, I'm not a big Machine Head fan. I think they're vastly overrated, but I was kind of liking what I was hearing here. Again, it was getting me banging my head. I like the fluctuations between the more kind of full speed ahead thrash riffing with the more groove focused stuff that was more just head bob inducing. Seemed pretty infectious. I love me some groove metal. Groove metal was like on top of the world for a while too, and then it feels like it sort of fell off. So maybe it's time for a resurgence. But yeah, these guys out of Virginia, and I dig what I'm hearing. Dude even looks like the guy from Machine Head. I'm blanking on his name right now, but yeah, cool stuff. And that brings us to Bleak Magician with How the Disappearance Appeared to Us. It's quite a title. All right, ending on a pretty different note there. I was getting a lot of different stuff there. There's like a little touch of like Queens of the Stone Age, but then that chuggy riff at the end reminded me more of like very early Nine Inch Nails, maybe a little bit of like Ministry. What do we got in the tags here? Art punk, art rock, indie rock, noise rock, post punk again. Definitely the post punk stuff too. Yeah, I'd have to listen to more of this, but again, I'm kind of intrigued. I think the vocals were a little on the fence for me. I know this genre, like, they're supposed to be a little bit like less refined, let's say, in some cases, but there were a few notes where it was getting a little grating for me. But again, I'm only sampling a little bit, so I'd be interested in checking out more from this. So ending on a weird note, again, check out the playlist for plenty more episodes about this. Thank you for supporting this segment, because it's a very important one. It's important to me. It can be hard to keep up sometimes and a little exhausting, but I'm hoping we can keep growing viewership to really make it worth it for these bands, because that's ultimately what this is all about. Also, if you want to keep this segment going, since it is not a winner with the AdSense and the views, support me on Patreon or become a channel member. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off, and I will see you in the trenches.